Okay, I'm going to take this crankcase off of here so I can get in here and show you what it's talking about with these gears inside there. I know it seems pretty scary when you look at it. I got this stuff was all in just a couple boxes, all in pieces, so I wasn't sure I could do it myself, but there's steps you can go through. It's not really that bad. You want to get the owner's manual come a complete teardown instruction. So let's go ahead and get this off here. And I just want to show you, it's basically, once you get to this point, not rocket science. Just pretty much some few long screws, and a few of them I had to go with hex head screws because I can't find the right ones right now. So most of these are just the Phillips head one. Which I'm really not crazy about building a motorcycle with screws, but I don't know. This is a tough engine. It's all about efficiency. There's spots that you can't really get a socket in there even. Yeah, I tried using hex head bolts in a few of these spots, and you cannot get in there. It didn't all socket. I couldn't. So the hex head work out spots. Except for the fact they're $1.85 a piece for the long ones. But it's life. What I really need is probably just a kit. But yeah, like I said, you can get a better grip on a hex head. I'm not crazy about using a Phillips screwdriver. Okay. All right, here we go. Finally got it apart. However you choose to do that. But and in the process, gear assembly about came apart, and my part of the shift levers, because part of this cam, like a cam system here that makes them shift gears. This pushes the gears up and down, whichever way. So give me a chance to go show exactly how I did this. And I'm not even sure. I've had this thing apart 10 times. It's never done that. It's just the way it come apart. It's a little tight sometimes. But I'm going to go ahead and even start like I did. Make sure you got the right gear exactly. Counting the teeth. It's the only way. I got the Dead Sea Scrolls here with all. No, I got a new one. That's funny, boy. That thing's ancient. Original owner's manual. It had like complete teardown. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure everything's right. Count most of the teeth. Now some of it, when I got this, I got two lower ends, like two gearboxes. Some here and there teeth were missed, busted up. So, but here's the only good part. I think this is the right side. Some of this it's got one gear, at least one gear is pressed on here. And then, so this other gear is held in place by a snap ring. And there's another snap ring. These two gears are together. So it's not as scary as it looks. I mean, especially if you come to this point, if you don't have one of these gears that's broken, or, you know, it's just, this is a good start. If you got it like this, you can, there's a couple of gears that go on that end. And yeah, it goes in like this. There's a couple of bigger gear that goes down there, and there's one that fits inside the other. But there's might have been this, I can't remember this, like spindle washer. It's a washer. It's got like notches and fits, but I think that was for the left side. I don't know. And I got another weird one too. But luckily, you know, I got a couple spare parts stored. You know, I'll figure it out. But I'm gonna count some of the teeth. It's the only good way to do it. I didn't really, I didn't put it all on film when I first did it. So let you see from a starting point. So, but anyways, it's gonna take me a few minutes to get all that. But here's one of the shift levers. It goes on this side, and this side has just got one. And you can see, you kind of, when you find where it's supposed to be at, it fits in, and it will go in basically one way. Slots on this cam here. So, you know, you slide, put the gear on first. Here's how I did it. Make sure it's, and they're marked. There's a left and a right. Now it's left, right. It's kind of weird the way they have it. It's like the motor was laying upside. Left and right goes on that side, and this one, it's just got a number on it, I believe. I'll double check all that, and you know, make sure you got them in the right way. This one's just about go either way, but you want the lettering up facing you. So yeah, that's the one. And on this other one, I'll get into it. I'm going to talk about these, but this has got it's got two of them on there on one shaft. Well, that's what it is. When you see which way the pins have got to go into the shift cam, that'll let you know if they're up or down. But yeah, I'm pretty sure on this side it says right and left, and it goes into that notch. And same thing. It's a little tricky getting in there, but it kind of all falls in place once you got the gears right. And yeah, it just moves them. It moves the gears up and down when you shift. So, okay, give me a few. I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna take this back apart and make sure, because this shaft come out, and I'm not positive. I might be missing a part. Let's do it right, you know. Start back over. Yeah, I'll get back. I'm gonna count these as I take them off. Make sure I'm right 110%. You don't want to make no mistakes. So I put a mark on the table, and then take like a pen or a screwdriver and just start counting the teeth. And you can use them. You know, pretty easy to count the teeth that way. I thought it was going to be a nightmare. Yeah. Especially don't be intimidated. Let me just say this. Don't be intimidated by this, the schematic. It's cool, they're numbered, and I got another picture of it where I marked. Yeah, on this one, I kind of put my own numbering. Well, that's the shifter. I thought there was another spot. I marked it a little better, and I checked them off as I went. You know, yeah. I got another page in the book or whatever. But each gear I put in there, I checked it off list, and separate left and right. So you know, all those. In this assembly, I think you've got 11 or 12 gears. It's, you know, like I said, once some of them are grouped together, and then you got left and right side, so it's not really as complicated as it looks. Especially if you're lucky enough to where they got some of them that are, even on this one, there's a few that's held in place already with like a spring clip. So let's get back at it. Let me start over, and we'll get you, as soon as I get started, I'm gonna clean this all off. And what I started doing, took the first couple gears off, referenced it on the schematic. It's, you know, here's the first gear on the left. Like this guy told me, you know, if you're at all mechanically inclined, you can do this. It's just common sense and some patience. Okay, but anyway, so just so I didn't get it mixed up, I marked it, I labeled it on the board, wrote down the number, got a couple over here, wrote down the number, and so I don't get them mixed up left and right. But now what's kind of cool here, and here we get into it, but see, I can't take the next one off one at a time. It's got a snap ring here. So thank God for that. You know, I'm just gonna, and this one too. This set of gears is like snap ring in place. So I'm just gonna take the whole shaft out. I think they gotta come out together. Just they're kind of interlocked in there. And there we go. A couple washers in there. I wanted to make sure I got this in the right place. And I want to double check that. I don't know. This is real tight tolerance. Sometimes I'm down to the last turn or two on a thread, and I was having problems with the piston tightening up, crankshaft being tight. And just the way that went together, there was a little corrosion inside of the cover plate. I kind of honed that out. But here, it was getting a little tight. You know, this is without the gasket. When I put a gasket on there and stuff, yeah, a little bit, but I don't need two washers. I'll double check that. But here I go, you know, with the gear assembly. And I'm pretty sure this is right. But as I was taking it apart, it just pulled out and one fell out. And I stuck it on there. No, we're not guessing. And that's even if it went together. It's got a little washer on the end. But yeah, I just want to do it right. And like I said, it will end up being right. Take your time to count everything. So. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and double check them and make sure I got all the washers. Counting teeth. Here's what I've been. Well, I can go ahead. I know this is the last one. I got a little marker on my table. Put it on there. Just start counting. Wish the light was a little better, but that's life, you know. Double check it. Just count the teeth. Look at the schematic. Boom. That's where it goes. It's like putting together, you know. Wouldn't say Legos, but erector set and all that, follow the instructions and work out. All right, well, I got this gear off the shaft. Okay, this is the right shaft. This is the left shaft. But while I got this off, one easy way you can remember. Say you pull it off and you wasn't sure which way it went on or whatever. But it's got, this is part of the shift engagement where the cam will go in there. All they call it a shift lever, but that will go, it will ride in here, and you can see when it pushes it down or whichever way it drops it. Okay, don't breathe too hard here. Kind of tricky. Maybe it's just me, but when putting these all on together, kind of had to have the shafts assembled, and just obviously isn't all the gears, but and kind of put them both together almost, because it wouldn't go in just putting one in and the other one for me anyways. I kind of put them together in this little, there's a tiny gear on the end of this. It's got a cog in with this big gear, and so those two got to mesh. And then it still don't seem like it's right for a minute, and it won't turn until you get the shift levers, they're called. I call them cam shifters, but they run off as cam for shifting. And the center one goes in this way. This is, it's got a C on it, up or down. No, it'll only go one way because it's got the little pin that goes into this cam here. That pin goes in here, right in that notch. And I'm assuming, my understanding is only one way to have this situated. It's supposed to be in neutral. And we'll get back into that, the alignment for the shifter in a minute here. But these two have got to go in, and it's called left and right. Like I said, they only go in one way as far as looking at the stamp, up or down. Only goes in because it's got a notch here that goes in this cam. Only goes in that way. And the way I've seen it, it'd be this, your engine sitting between your legs. This is the left one, this is the right one, is the way I was looking at it. So, yeah, that'd have to work. This would be the front of the engine, I guess. And left cam, right cam. But what you got to do, the hard part is, you got to get the cams in there, into the spacing where it's going to push the gears up and down. And then it's got to go into this little pin's got to go into here, into this cam itself. And so you kind of got to get them lined up and then slide the pin down in. Same way over here. Get the shift lever in there, get the pin into the cam, get it kind of lined up, and then slide this lever in, and it locks into the case. There's a notch for it in the crankcase. And you're supposed to lube all that, have that lube done, but I've had enough oil on this thing, and that'll let some good old crankcase oil once you get it together. But so this should be the neutral position. What I'm looking at here, and it's, well, got a few more gears to go on the other side. But this, before I get in further, I'm putting it back together. So there we go, crash course in that. It's like I said, if you have a manual, you don't mind counting gears. It's not a big deal. But yeah, and I had extra parts. It was all mixed together, pretty much. But luckily, like I said, some of these are, if you get lucky enough, there's one or two might be pressed. Now these aren't on this side; they're not pressed on there. But if you get lucky enough to have them together with the snap rings in there, makes it a whole lot easier. So, but yeah, here's what I had to deal with when I got it. Oh, I don't know if there's a huge old chip. This is one of the ones that had the shift lever in it, and it's one reason not to stomp gears up. What could have been happening? They stomped it so hard. That's a different story when you're racing. I understand. You're there to win, and it don't go in gear. You got mud in there. You're getting tired. You stomp, hit a bump, whatever, causes that to break. Or there's another one in this top gear. It just broke a tooth on it. So that happens. Luckily, between the two, I had enough gears to go together. And I had to count everything again, put it back together. But I think that's right. This went from like a nightmare to being, there's no way I could do this. Yeah, take your time and don't mind counting, and keep everything organized. And I'm gonna put that back together, and we'll get into the shifter from the other side. And there's another situation where if you can avoid it, you don't want to stomp on a shifter. It's like kickstarting it. When people pull up, that slack is in there and they're stomping on it. But on this, I'll show you here in this next video. But on the shifter itself, it's got like a couple little cams they're about as big as your fingernail. I mean, they're thicker than that, you know, 3/16. Hardened steel. They're small, but they got tiny little springs. And, man, things can get messed up easy. So when you can avoid it, it's best not just to put everything into you to stand on, you know, them pedals. Just gotta, it puts a lot of torque behind them parts. So it's nice to have everything run smooth, keep your oil changed, and when everything's running right, and you're not in a heated battle, you shouldn't have to go too crazy with it, okay? All right, I'm gonna put this back together and then we'll flip it over and I'll show you how this aligns, the gear shifter actually aligns with the tooth. And when you put it back together, everything's got to be lined up and then you'll be hopefully in the right gear when you get going. All right,